Hey guys, so today I'm going to be looking at more Am I Wrong stories. Yeah, let's just get right into the video. Last night, my fiancé left in the evening to give a friend's son a ride back to his home. She implied she'd be home before 9. She left at around 7:45. 10:15 rolled around and she still wasn't home. I texted and she apologized to me, saying that her friend's son was actually in the next town over, maybe 30 minutes away, and she was coming home now. 11:45 rolled around and she still hadn't come home, so I called her to no answer, texted her to no response. I was getting very upset. 12:30 rolled around and still no response and no answer to my phone calls. I was extremely angry. 1:30 rolled around and my anger had completely transformed into worry, not answering my calls and texts not read. Around 1:45, I called the police. I have always heard that the first 24 hours of someone being missing is the most important, so I didn't want to delay. I asked them to let me know if there had been any traffic accidents involving her car, and the operator told me that they would put out the word and send some cops to check along the route she would travel. I called all the hospitals in the area to check if she had been checked in, and I waited outside watching the road for her car for 3 hours. Partially because I didn't want the kids to hear me on the phone with hospitals, and secondly because I was sick with worry. At 7 a.m. she came home. She apologized for being out and she said she had no excuse. She was driving home and felt tired, like she was falling asleep at the wheel, so she pulled over to the side of the road to sleep. When she did that, she found that her brand new phone had stopped working. She says she napped anyway because it was the responsible thing to do, and then came home at 7 a.m. to bring the kids to school and get to work on time. I immediately called the police and told them that she had come home safely and gave them the case number and told them to stop searching, which they did. My fiancé brought the kids to school and left for work. I set out to start cleaning and I got a call from a policeman asking where she worked. I told him and asked why, and I was informed that it was their policy to check on the person's wellness after a missing person is found. I asked them to not go by her work, but to give her a call instead. He said he couldn't promise. My fiancé is relatively new to her job. A police officer showed up and asked to speak with her. She's now enraged at me for calling the police and sending a cop to her work and making her look bad. She's saying I overreacted and that she wasn't missing and that I was punishing her for doing the responsible thing and not driving while drowsy. She's saying that she's never going to leave the house again except for work because she's afraid I'm going to call the cops on her again. So did I overreact? Should I have waited 2 days like she suggests? No. He did the right thing though. Like, why is she getting mad that her fiancé was worried sick about her? And her story just sounds sus as you know, who the heck? Okay, maybe some people think like that, but I just feel like that's so sus. Like, she's like, okay, I'm just gonna pick up my friend's son and drive him home, and then she doesn't answer any calls. Nothing. And she's like, oops, I actually just decided to park by the side and just sleep there. I'm pretty sure a lot of us are just like, really, girl? Really? I don't think so. That sounds so freaking sus, dude. Sussy, sus. Like, what she did was not the normal thing to do. That's for sure. You know? 1, you either text your fiancé and be like, oh, I'm probably not going to drive home because, you know, I'm really tired or whatever. I'm just going to go sleep at my friend's place. You let them know that you're safe, okay? And 2, if your phone died, then you gotta drive back home. You can't just do that, man. Like, if your phone dies and you're just going to be like, you know what? I'm not going to text him, whatever. I'm not going to give him a call, whatever. I'm just going to fall asleep on the road. Like, you don't make your partner worry like that if you really care about them. And that's what she did. I guess she doesn't care about him. So, background. I have a brother, Dave, who's married to Sarah. They don't have children yet. I have a son who just turned 4 and a 3-month-old daughter with my husband. My husband and I live in Belgium most of the time, but we travel back to visit my family about once a month in England. At home, we speak both English and French to our children. My husband is Belgian, and right now my son is in this very sweet phase where he'll sometimes mix up the 2 languages and say a couple of words in English in a French sentence or vice versa. This has never posed a problem to us, and even the staff at his nursery have reassured us that it's very common and they tend to grow out of it once they start at school. My sister-in-law has decided that this is a problem, so when we're visiting my parents and she notices my son doing this, she'll correct him, but she does so really rudely, whereas my husband and I would just gently correct him. Anyway, we're visiting at the moment and she's now decided that instead of correcting him, she's going to start ignoring him when he does this. I sort of noticed her doing it when we arrived and I thought it was odd but assumed maybe she was just stressed. Her job is quite intense, but it was only really an issue yesterday. My husband was talking to my dad outside and I was feeding my daughter in the other room and I'd left Louis with Sarah and Dave. When I came back downstairs, Louis was crying and I managed to understand that he tried to ask Sarah for a drink. He has a special cup he uses that he was holding, so it was obvious what he meant, but that she just ignored him. I asked her why and she explained that she wasn't going to reply to him unless he said the sentence correctly and that I shouldn't be ignoring my son's obvious speech issues. For context, it's not that she didn't know what he wanted. She told me that she understood exactly what he was asking for, but that she was deliberately refusing because he hadn't asked correctly. This really pissed me off, but luckily my husband came inside at that moment and pulled me away so we could calm down and settle Louis. That night at the dinner table, Sarah asked me to pass her something, but said it in bad English. She is English. I just mean that she asked for it in slang. Think, pass us the peas, will you? I had a bit of an epiphany and I just decided to totally ignore her. She asked again and I did the same thing. My brother asked why I was ignoring his wife and I said that I'm not able to reply if she can't speak English correctly and that it's wrong of him to ignore her obvious issues with grammar. Everyone's pretty pissed off with me and I admit it was incredibly childish, but she was needlessly being mean to my baby. Should I just apologize? Oh my gosh, no. If she wants someone to speak correctly, then she should speak correctly too. Why is she being a hypocrite then? Like, she doesn't have to speak correctly, but someone else has to. Oh. And honestly, Louis is just a kid. You can teach him another day. If he wants a drink, then get him a drink. The fact that she didn't even give him a drink when he was asking for a drink, dude, she's trashy. Even if you want to teach a kid something, just give them food or water first, you know? Gosh. All right, moving on. To make a long story short, I am a medical student. My free time is very limited and I have lots and lots of commitments. My sister has 3 kids all under 10 and she often expects me to babysit for her, which isn't the main problem, but she drops them off at random times with very short notice or no notice at all. The other day, she called saying she was on her way to drop the kids off at my place because she was attending her friend's child-free wedding and she couldn't take the kids with her. I had a huge argument with her on the phone because I had to study for an upcoming exam, but next thing I knew, the kids were at my doorstep and she was already back in the car and then drove off with her husband. Why are parents like this, dude? We've read about so many stories where the parents just drop the kids off and just run away, man. Oh my gosh, that's irresponsible. If you want someone to babysit for you, let them know beforehand, you know? Like, you can't just be like, hey, I need you to do this now, okay, bye. I was so pissed I couldn't handle it. I decided to get dressed 30 minutes later and take the kids right where their mum and dad were. I drove them to the wedding, which was at her friend's house, and had them go in. The men there tried to stop the kids till my sister and husband came rushing. My sister was shocked. She started shouting after me, but I quickly got into the car and drove off. I went home and she started calling me. After she realized I wasn't going to pick up, she sent a few texts calling me names for putting her in this situation and embarrassing her in front of her friends. She mentioned that by bringing the kids to the child-free wedding, I disrespected her friend, which affected their relationship and caused her and her husband to go home and miss out on the rest of the wedding. Her husband called later and I picked up thinking he'd speak to me rationally like he always does, but he scolded me saying that it wouldn't hurt if I kept the kids for a few hours, and then expressed how disappointed he was and how selfish and petty I was to do this to my sister and her kids. Now I'm thinking I should have sucked it up for a few hours. No, you don't gotta do anything, they're not your kids. If your sister had a wedding to go to, then she should have planned something beforehand for someone else to take care of the kids. What the heck? Why the heck did she leave the kids last minute? That's so irresponsible of her. You don't ever do that as a parent. You don't just be like, oh yeah, I forgot to find a babysitter for you kids, so I'm just gonna leave you to my sister and run. Nah. That's bad parenting, dude. Now I just feel bad for the kids. The kids are just being chucked around. Jeez. But yeah, it's totally not their fault at all. The parents can't even look after their own kids. Why would they expect someone else to? Jeez. Well, that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoy. Tell me in the comments down below what your thoughts are. And as always, thanks for watching. Hope you guys liked it. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.